Okay? Again, let's talk about the pH and the pOH. This is under the Strensen system. But in reality, what we compute is actually the pH. And then we have a lot of ways where we can determine the pH of any solution that we have. So I don't know if you have tried to do that in your laboratory in high school, but when we want to know if the substance is acidic or basic one, we use the let me write the screen for your reference. So number one, you can use your litmus paper. Are you familiar with the litmus paper? So we have a blue one and a pink one. So pag ang blue nag-turn into pink, then your substance is acidic. And then if your pink litmus paper turns into blue, then your substance is basic. So that is also true. If the blue litmus paper remains blue, basic pa rin yan siya. And if the pink litmus paper remains pink, then acidic ang imuhang substance. And then aside from that, we have the so-called pH meter. I don't know if you have encountered this one. This is a strip also. It looks like this. And then sa dulo niyan, merong parang apat na parang square with different colors. And then you just have to dip it in your solution, and then it will, the four squares there will change in color, and then you just have to look at its box. May box kasi ito, and then merong legend. So you just have to compare kung saan magkapareho yung mga colors ng iyong four squares. So kung naka-number yan siya up to 14. Up to 14 yung number niya. And then for example, ang mga colors ng square ay kapareho ng 1, then the pH of your solution is 1. So yun yung gamit ni pH meter. And then we really have our pH tester, which uses electrodes. So it's like a machine, a small one, and then meron siyang electrode that looks like this. So ito nakakonect doon sa reader, and then meron siyang parang ganito. So itong part na ito will just be dipped in your solution again, and then since this is a machine, meron siyang parang monitor na like this. So merong screen dyan, and then once na ma-read niya na yung pH ng solution, automatic magbibigay siya. Like example, the pH of the solution is 7.9, automatic na ilagay sa screen niya kasi digital yung ating pH testers. So ito yung mga ways where we can determine the pH of our solution, or we can determine if it's acidic, basic, or neutral. Now sa Strensen system kasi class, the pH is from 1 to 14. So kaya yung pH meter kanina na sinasabi ko, may number ka dyan, 1 to 14. So this is 7 here, and 7 is considered neutral. So again, in Strensen system, if you have a pH of 7, your solution is neutral. But if it's less than 7, again, if it's less than 7 class, it's acidic. So again, your solution here is acidic if the pH is less than 7. And the other way around, if it's more than 7, so it's up to 14 plus, your solution here is basic. So you have to know how you have to know. Kasi kapag mag-work na kayo in the laboratory as medical technologist, it is important to know the pH. For example, I have tried, syempre, nagpa-urinalysis. So kasama doon yung pag-determine ng pH ng ihi. So you have to, I think kung sa laboratory naman, most of the time you will use the pH tester para diretso na siya. Yung sa litmus paper kasi you will not know the exact pH. You will just know if it's acidic or basic. So to be exact, most likely you will be using the pH tester in the laboratory, and it's very important to identify and to interpret the result. Just like when it gives you a reading of 7.9, so what does it mean? Meaning the urine is most likely basic kasi sumobra na siya sa 7. So 7 lang yung neutral. Again, pag sumobra siya, it's basic. Pag it's less than 7, acidic. Okay? Questions so far? Yung sa blood din class, nagre-read din kayo ng pH ng blood. Kasi merong mga consequences yan kapag acidic or basic yung ating blood. So do not forget that the normal pH of the blood is between 7.35 to 7.45. Okay, this is the normal pH of the blood. So it's most likely slightly neutral kasi malapit naman na siya sa 7, though nag-exceed siya konti. But our blood is most likely neutral. If it's less than 7.35, then our blood is acidic and it will lead to a condition called acidosis. And then kapag sumobra naman yung pH ng blood natin sa 7.45, your blood will be basic and it will lead to a condition called alkalosis. So if you have this condition, then our body will not function fully. Magkakaroon tayo ng different signs and symptoms like mahirap huminga, ganun. Yun yung mga examples lang ng mga pwedeng ma-experience ng person if either we have acidic or basic blood. And let me remind you that these conditions can be life-threatening. So pag mag-acidosis, either mag-acidosis or mag-alkalosis, if hindi naagapan, hindi nabalik sa normal yung pH ng blood, pwedeng ikamatayan ng patient. Okay, so that's how important the determination of pH is. So what is pH pala? pH class is actually the negative logarithm to the base of 10 of hydrogen ion concentration. So what we are really determining here is the amount of hydrogen or the amount of protons we have in our body. So actually the meaning of pH is power of hydrogen. You can ask questions anytime if you want to clarify something na like hindi niyo siya maintindihan. So kapag mano-manong kino-compute yung ating pH, we use this formula. pH is equal to the negative log of the hydrogen ion concentration. So please get your calculators because I told you a while ago that we will concentrate 2 computations today. Kasi I have done discussing electrolytes, mga terminologies involved. So mag-concentrate tayo sa computation. So I have given you the ways on how to determine the pH. Yung pH tester, it will be very convenient to us. We will no longer compute for the pH. It will automatically give us the exact pH of the solution. But if ever we don't know the pH of the solution, but we know the amount of hydrogen, then we can compute for the pH. Do not forget this formula. pH is equal to the negative log of H. So let me give you an example of a problem involving the computation of pH. So number 1, what is the pH of a solution that has a hydronium ion concentration of 2 × 10⁻⁹ formal? So F is formal. It's another unit of concentration, though we don't really use it that much kasi yung ginagamit natin most of the time is yung normality, molarity, percentage ppm, and ppb. But do not forget that F, formality, is also a unit of concentration. So if we look at the problem, we are looking here for the pH, and ang given dito is the hydronium ion concentration. And let me remind you that when you say hydronium ion concentration, it's most likely the same with your hydrogen. So we can still use the formula pH is equal to the negative log of your H plus. So we can just compute automatically. So this is negative log. And then the given concentration for hydrogen is 2 times 10 raised to the power of negative 9. So in computing the pH class, no need to include the the unit. Kasi our pH has no unit. Walang unit ang ating pH. So anong gagawin nyo sa calculators nyo? You just input negative, and then please pakipindot ng log. You can see log in your calculators, and then 2 exponent negative 9. The answer here, if 2 decimal places, we'll just round off it. It's 8.70. Okay, tama yan siya, Marie. So, nag-round off lang ako, kaya siya naging 8.70. So, I hope you know how to do this using your calculator. So, again, ang ginawa ako sa akin, so nilagay ko negative, and then pinindot ko yung log, and then nilagay ko 2, pinindot ko yung exponent, sa baba exp, and then negative 9, and then equals. You will get this one, the 8.70. Okay? So that's how simple the computation of pH is, as long as you know the concentration of the hydrogen ion. So that's 8.70. But if ever, class, you are asked to determine if your solution is acidic, basic, or neutral, then you just look at the pH. I have told you that the strengthened system is 1 to 14, 7 as neutral. Now, since this is 8.70, so what does it mean? It's more than 7. So automatic, class, this solution is basic. So that's how you determine, ha, if ever lang, i-ask kayo to classify your solution either whether it is acidic, basic, or neutral. Yan. I hope that is clear sa inyo, ha. Now, there are also problems, class, na baliktad. Like this one, consider a solution with a pH value of 6.8. So what is the hydronium ion concentration? Baliktad siya. Bakit siya baliktad? Kasi given yung pH, and then all you have to do is to compute for the H. So the same formula, pH is equal to the negative log of H plus. It's just that pH is given, and we are looking for the hydrogen or hydronium ion concentration. Baliktad ito. So the same formula, you will just place the pH here. It's 6.8. And then negative log of H plus. Ayan. So what are we going to do now? Who can give me the correct answer? The one who can give me the correct answer here, may plus point sa quiz natin for this chapter. I'll wait, ha. I'll wait. Again, ang pinakaunang makapagbigay sa akin ng tamang answer for this problem will have an additional point sa quiz natin. I'll give the quiz next week. Next week na tayo mag-quiz nito, class. So that you will have more time to study. Sige, maghintay ako, ha. Kasi most likely, mag-error yan siya dyan sa inyo. So the one who can give me the correct answer will have extra points sa quiz. I'll just tell you if ever may nakita na akong tamang answer. Ha? I'll give you 5 minutes to know the answer here. Wala na, 3 lang ang mag-send. Wala na. Sure na gyud. Yun sa mga nini pagkuha ng 0.82. Syntax error. Syntax error. The correct answer here should be in scientific notation. Scientific notation dapat ito answer. Me drink water. When I get back, let's answer this. Okay? Syntax error. Cyril, you are looking for the hydronium ion concentration here. So it's not given. It's what you are going to compute. Dali man na meka. Gihulaan rin niya ba? Wala na. Sirit na ta. Ako na mag-compute. Adjust. This is what you are going to do, class. You cannot divide it both sides with a negative log. Sa answer, ana, kung 6.8 divided by log. Syntax error. Okay, that's syntax error, class. Ang gagawin dito is to cancel the log. Kasi di ba kailangan natin i-isolate si hydrogen ion concentration. So kailangan natin i-cancel both yung negative at saka yung log. So i-transfer mo yung negative dyan. Like, i-multiply mo both sides with -1 so that you can cancel the negative. Ang maiwan dyan is the log and the H plus. So, ang mangyayari dito sa kabila, it will become -6.8. And then, ang susunod natin ika-cancel, class, is si log. And how do we do that? To cancel the log, you need the anti-log. So, i-anti-log mo yan siya both sides. Ayan. Kasi log and anti-log, makakancel si log. So, mangyayari dyan, magiging H plus, and then, ang H plus ngayon is anti-log ng -6.8. And sa calculator, how are you going to do the anti-log? Anti-log, class, is in the calculator, it's shift and then log. So, ang pipindutin nyo, shift, tapos log, Tas lagay nyo ang negative 6.8. Again, I hope nasundan yon. Sa calculator, ang anti-log is shift log and then ilagay nyo negative 6.8. The correct answer is 1.58 times 10 raised to the power of negative 7. Dili siya anyari sa iyong calculator. Again, shift log. I hope you can see the shift in your calculator. It's somewhere nasa taas. Most of the calculator, it's color yellow. Nakuha ba? Nakuha yung 1.58 times 10 raised to the power of negative 7. Ayan. So, wala na siya nag-syntax error. So, next time class na maka-encounter mo o problem solving involving the log, then you have to cancel it. Dili man gud mo siya pwede i-divide. Like, negative 6.8 divided by log. Mag-syntax error yun na siya. So, if you want to cancel the log, you have to do the anti-log. Wala mo gawas pag mag-shift log. Kailangan pag mag-shift log ka class, na mo gawas nga 10 sa imuhang screen. Diba na mo gawas nga 10 pag mag-shift log?
Yes, ma'am.
And then, ibutang ni mo negative 6.8. Mana makuha ni mo ang 1.58.
Sa taas, ma'am?
Yeah, sa taas. Kita ninyo ang shift? Tapad sa alpha. Sa tapad sa alpha na nakabutang shift. Pinduton
Then after sa ano, ma'am, negative 6.8.
Equals. Pinduton ninyo equals. Paano i-restart ang calcu? Shift tapos clear. Shift clear niya equal. Okay na. Shift clear tapos 3 reset all equals. Na-restart? Wala. I hope nakuha ha. Paano i-restart ang calcu? Pindutan ninyo ng shift. Tapos pangitaan ninyo ng CLR. Tapos musulat na siya sa screen og 1, 2, 3. Pindutan ninyo ng 3, meaning all. And then pindutan ninyo ang equals. Mag-restart na inyong hang. Balik na siya sa iyahang original mode inyong hang calcu. Pero again, sa anti-log, pindutan ninyo shift log and then i-follow ninyo ng number 6.8. That's how you do that. Ha? Questions, class, about this? Wala. Lapit na pud bayain yung hang ano. Midterm exam. Pero bago lang mo nag-prelim exam tapos padulungay na sad ang midterm. So mag-double time we still have next week. Okay. Kaya pa. Okay? Anong AC? What AC? AC sa calculator?
Ma'am, nasa dari, ma'am.
Ano na? Sige daw, ipadula sa screen. I cannot see. Press AC. Pangitaan ng AC sa imuhang ano. Karang nakapula sa imong calcu. Pindutan na.
Di yapon, ma'am.
Nakakita ni mong AC sa imong calcu?
Oo, nandito.
Sige daw, idool God, idool. Hindi lang, ang screen ang ipakita. Ang screen, ibaba. Reset all. Itaas gamay. Kanang AC, kanang color red, tapad sa Dell. Color red ba na or color orange? Tapad sa Dell, mo na yung pinduton.
Del.
Diba na ilahig color diha sa imuhang mga keys na ay Dell o na ay AC. Kanang AC nga tapad niya sa del. Ano yung pinduton? Ano?
Okay na po, ma'am.
Ah, sige.
Thank you.
Sige, questions about pH class. Or ta mag-move on sa POH. Kaya lang ha, replyan ko lang si Mama Be. She's asking about this also. Kasi they are also discussing this sa section A. So may gina-clarify lang. Okay, so let's continue with our POH. It's the negative logarithm of the hydroxide ion concentration. So it's like the same with the pH. It's just that sometimes, manggod, the given will be the concentration of our hydroxide. So remember sa acid class, wait, sa acid, if it's H+, then you are going to compute for the pH. But if the given is the OH negative, then you will be computing for the POH. But actually, they have the same formula. Almost the same. So POH is equal to the negative log of our OH. This is our second formula for this morning. So please remember this. POH is equal to the negative log of our OH negative. Now, example na problem. What is the POH of a solution that has a hydroxide ion concentration of 3 times 10 raised to the power of negative 7 for mol? So since ang given class ang OH, so you will not compute for the pH. Instead, we will compute for the POH. But it's the same thing. It's the same na computation. Ayan. Nanada yun answer. Automatic. Sige, automatic. 6.52. So wait lang ha. Negative log of the 3 times 10 raised to the power of negative 7. So this one is very easy. So you just have to place negative tapos log of 3 times 10 raised to the power of negative 7. So your answer is correct. It's 6.52. Now, ang sa ano lang class, ang sa POH, you cannot determine here whether your substance is acidic, basic, or neutral. It's not the same with the pH na we will follow the Strand system na 1 to 14. And then, malalaman natin based on that 1 to 14 kung acidic, basic, or neutral yung substance natin. When it comes to POH, no, you cannot use the POH value to determine whether acidic, basic, or neutral yung iyong substance. Kailangan mo muna i-convert si POH into pH. So later, we will also discuss how to convert or how to know the pH of the solution if given si POH. Okay? So I hope klaro yon siya. Questions about the POH? Nagbigay lang ako ng isang example kasi ang yung computation niya is the same with the pH class. Ang inyuhan lang yung always remember pag H plus ang given, automatic you will compute the pH. But if the given is OH, then you compute for the POH. And then next, we have another measurement of the acidity. We call it the pKa. So this will measure now the strength of our acid, kung gaano kalakas yung acid natin. That's the pKa. So si pKa naman is the negative logarithm of the equilibrium constant. So when you say equilibrium constant, it's actually talking about the Ka. So this is, remember, the acid dissociation constant. So pag maingon kag pKa, negative logarithm of our acid dissociation constant. And if we want to compute our pKa, our formula is most likely the same with the pH also, but this will become pKa is equal to the negative log of our Ka. Again, if you are asked to compute the pKa of the acid, then you have to use this formula. pKa is equal to the negative log of Ka. So another sample problem, Ka is equal to 1.75 times 10 raised to the power of negative 5. So find the pKa. Again, find the pKa. Sige, you try to compute since this is the same with that of the pH and the pOH. So ano yung ibig sabihin nito, class? If you have a high value for your pKa, it means your acid is a weak acid. Okay? Again, if you have high value for the pKa, then your acid is a weak acid. And it's vice versa also. So the other way around, if you have a low value for the pKa, then your acid is a strong acid. Okay? So what is your answer? 4.76. Let us see. So pKa is equal to negative log of the 1.75 times 10. Ay, di siya muagi. Ay, doble na nun. This is times 10 ha. So times 10 raised to the power of negative 5. So negative log of 1.75 times 10 raised to the power of negative 5. The answer here is 4.76. So you have a low value here of your pKa, which means most likely this acid is a stronger one, a strong acid. Okay? So pag strong acid, class, you cannot really consume it orally. Kasi pag strong ang acid, it will be corrosive. Makasunog. Makasunog, class, ang acid. So kakita mo person nga nasunog due to acid, like mabutangan og acid ang face, magkaroon na siya og coagulative necrosis. Again, we call it, sulat ko na lang. We call it coagulative necrosis. When you say necrosis, there is death of the tissue. So mamatay yung tissues and then there will be coagulation kasi ang target ng acid is the proteins. Mag-coagulate yung proteins natin, like for example sa mukha, nalagyan ng acid dito. Mamatay yung tissues dyan, class, and then mag-coagulate yung proteins. Kaya yung mukha nila after is parang magkaroon ng mga keloids. Are you familiar with keloids? Mag-coagulate. I don't know how to describe that one sa layman's term. So, kita mo og kanang sa mga horror movies nga murag magbukol-bukol diri, no? So that's the face of someone na nasunog sa acid. So paano mabalaan kung high or low ang pKa? It's the same thing kasi it will also follow the 1 to 14 but it's baliktad. Baliktad siya sa pH. Kasi 'di ba sa pH, if it's less than 7, it's acidic. But for pKa, if it's less than that, ano siya, baliktad yung kanyang interpretation. So, parehas sila sa pH na kapag it's low, strong acid siya. 'Di ba pag 1 ang pH sa acid, it's a very strong acid. So it's just the same with the pKa. Pag ingana po, like for example the 1, it's a very strong acid also. So let me give you an example. Pag mutaas man gud ang pH class, like moabot na siya og 6, hapit na siya moabot og 7, naga-weaken ang acid nato. Ana mo na inyong tandaan. Pag mutaas na ang value sa iyahang pH ug sa iyahang pKa, mag-weak acid na siya. Like it's nearing 7 kasi pag mutungtong na siya 7, mahimo naman na siya og neutral. Ha? So let me give you an example. Example, our stomach. Ato ang stomach class is made up of gastric juice na most likely ang component is hydrochloric acid. So the acid class nga naa sa atong stomach is a very strong one. So most of the time the pH of our stomach is naa sa 2. Okay, so that's how strong the acid is na nasa atong stomach na it is able to digest the food that we eat. Okay? Pero sometimes man good, kapag like for example, dili ta mo kaon and then we cannot use our acid in the stomach, that's where we get ulcer or where we get hyperacidity first. Kailangan jud magamit ang acid sa stomach. So you have to eat. You have to eat. Kasi pag dili na siya mo gamit, mo daghan na siya nga mo daghan, mag-acidic na kain na. Usahay mo baba na sa 2, usahay mo abot na sa 1 ang pH sa imong stomach, that will be painful already. Okay? So you cannot also like kuhaon nimo imuhang stomach and then gunitan nimo ang inside, masunog imuhang kamot. That's how acidic our stomach is. Nakuha? So most likely 2 nasa 2 ang pH kasi it's hydrochloric acid. Other name for hydrochloric acid is muriatic acid. So remember that we use that one to clean our, like for example, our CR. Diba nagagamit tawag muriatic acid? It's the same thing, hydrochloric acid. So yung anak ka-acidic ang ato ang tiyan. So para dili ta magkaroon og problem with our stomach, like magkaroon tag ulcer, you really have to eat, to use that as acid. Kasi continuously kasi nagaproduce ang stomach natin ng acid plus. Yeah, magamit lang na siya pag naa siya gina-digest na pagkaon. So, please take note that the gastric emptying time is 2 hours. So pag mukaon ta, for example, na mahaw kag alas 7, mahuman og digest ang imuhang stomach. Ma-empty ang imuhang stomach most approximately after 2 hours. So mo nang pagka alas 9 mo, mutingog na naulit imuhang tiyan kay wala na siya sulod. So ang tama kasi actually nga diet is small frequent eating. Mukaon ka pirmi pero ginagmay lang para dili po ka mutambok. Okay? Small na frequent eating. So, pwede ka magmerienda after 2 hours. Pero after 2 hours na pud glass sa imuhang gikaon nga merienda, mahuman na pud na imuhang stomach og trabaho, mag-empty na sad na siya. Muna nga muhapdos na sad or mutingog na sad kay wala na siya unod. Yeah, kusog kaayo ang muriatic acid. So, most likely ang atong stomach sad ingana. Unsa ang kape Janine? Matimin ang kape? Ang ato ang mga fluid manggod class, pag fluid lang ang ato ang gi-intake, diretso manggod na siya. It will not really take a lot of time para maadto siya sa intestine. Kasi from the stomach, i-push man na siya sa intestine, pero na-digest na siya. Pero pag fluid manggod ato ang gi-intake lang, wala nag-work atong stomach for that. Diretso lang kasi ma-incorporate lang siya dito sa acid nato. Acidic ang kape. Oo, yes. Yes. Acidic ang kape. So, like, you have an empty stomach, wa ka ni kaon, tapos niinom ka og kape, that will add up to the acidity of your stomach. Sakit siya sa tiyan. So mo na siya nga pagmamahaw mo and then inom mo og kape, sabayan gid ninyo siya something like either tinapay para na iunod imuhang tiyan. So magkaon ta og tarong, ha? Para dili ta magkaroon og problem with our stomach. Kasi for example ako, I am very hyperacidic. Hyperacidic jud ko, so sukad pa sa una. And then I don't like it. Actually nakoy ulcer sa una. Pwede man kumukhaon tong high school ko kay syempre kanang high school, di ba, nagbaligya sa gawas o kanang mga Milo isulod sa cellophane. Wala siya actually akong paniod to. Wala ko nagakaon og kanon. So nauwi siya into hyperacidity tapos ulcer. And then actually nagasuffer ko sa mga effect ana. Sakit siya sa tiyan. Sa mag acid reflux, you know acid reflux, we call it gastroesophageal reflux disease na ang acid sa kadaghan sa acid sa tiyan musaka siya sa esophagus, and that's what you call in layman's term heartburn. So na siya sakit siya. Ayan. And then usahay maka-short siya og ginhawa. Pag short imuhang ginhawa tungod sa imuhang too much acid. So we really have to use that. Now, another example, parehas lang gihapon ni siya atong sa pH ha, baliktad lang ni. So what is the Ka of an acid if the pKa is 3.3? So it's the same thing. We will use this formula. Pero baliktad kasi this time the given is the pKa and then we will be looking for the acid dissociation constant. Ka class is the acid dissociation constant ha. So sige, kamo daw mag-compute since I have already taught you how to do this kind of computation. Let me just answer, Mama Be. Okay. Lagi mag-answer. So, di ba unsa itong himuon, ane? The first thing to do is get rid of that negative para mawala na siya din, ha? Mabilin is log of the Ka. So, this will become negative 3.3. And then, what's next? Let's get rid of the log. So, to get rid of the log, we need the anti-log. So, that should be both sides. So, makancel ang log, ang maiwan dito na sa baba ha, is the Ka. So, it's shift log of negative 3.3. The correct answer here is 5.01 times 10 raised to the power of negative 4. Okay? So, do not forget the negative ha, kay malahiin nyo ang answer pag nakalimtan si negative. So be careful. Be careful sa pag-compute. Questions about this? Wala. Sige. So we will now move on to the determination of the pH if pOH is given. So do not be confused with this ha, kasi ipakita lang kung paano na siya nakuha. Kasi diba supposedly the ionization of water, ito siya na-discuss. This one is the ionization constant for water. Kw is equal to OH negative and then H plus. Mo ni atong unang gi-compute class nga the value of the KW is 1.0 times 10 raised to the power of negative 14. Mo ni atong ginagamit na formula. So, if we want to know the power of the ionization constant of water, this is how it looks like. pKW is equal to pH plus POH. And then if we get the pKW, it's negative log of the 1.0 exponent is negative 14. The answer there is 14. Kaya may 14 ka dito. Wait lang. I-illustrate ko na lang ha para dili mo maglibog. Nga nung na-arrive ni siya na formula. So, di ba, our original formula, katong sa assignment, gani ninyo nga, you are either looking for the OH or the H plus using this formula. OH, actually, ginauna natin sulat ang H plus, no? Pero anyway, it's the same thing. So, mo ni siya ang original na formula. If we know the concentration of the OH and then we know, we can compute for the concentration of the H plus. Kasi di ba this is constant. Now, paano kung ang given now is the pH or the POH? So, pwede po nato ni siya gamiton. If we get the pKW, basta P gani ang ginatpangita, power of hydrogen, isa lang gina ang ilahang formula, negative log of this one, the KW. So kung kwaon na to ang negative log of 1.0 times 10 raised to the power of 14, the pKW there is 14. That explains this 14 here. Pero pag pH plus pH o POH na dili na siya i-multiply unlike sa original na formula. This time, if naa na imuhang pKW which is 14, kani i-convert nimo sa POH, so mahimo na ni siya POH, and kani mahimo na siya pH. Pero this one is plus na, dili na siya multiplication. So in neutral solutions class, the pH and the POH is the same. So pH is 7 and POH is 7. This is equal to 14. Neutral na siya nga solution. So pag dili na sila magpantay, that's where we know if the substance is acidic, basic, or neutral. So asa ni siya gamiton? Our formula is this one ha. pH plus POH equals 14. The other two is just an illustration why we have this formula. Okay? So gamiton nato na siya if we have problems like this. Okay? So tanawan nato ha kung anong gamiton nato siya. Let's analyze this problem. So what is the pH of the solution? Again, what is the pH of the solution given that the OH or concentration of the OH is 1.6 times 10 raised to the power of negative 5. So let's analyze the problem again. If we write the given here is the concentration of the OH. It's 1.6 times 10 raised to the power of negative 5. And then we are looking for the pH. So wala siya nagtugma class kasi remember that if we want to compute for the pH, it should be like this. The given should be H plus. But dili man na H plus ang given, OH man. So you cannot directly compute for the pH. So ang unang himuon nimo class kapag kaing-ani ang given, you have to compute first for the POH. Kasi dito man na siya, ang OH class dito man siya directly involved sa POH. So mag-compute sa ta class og POH. So i-compute sa nato dan ang POH. So negative log of 1.6 times 10 raised to the power of -5. Our pOH here is, kindly compute, negative log of 1.6 times 10 raised to the power of -5. Our pOH here is 4.795. Wala ko na ground of hakay. Remember, di ba akong rule sa mga computation sa final answer na mag-round off. Okay? So, very good. Mauna siya ang pOH. Pero wala pa tanahuman. Nga nung wala pa tanahuman, kaya ang ginapangita sa problem ang pH. Dinha mo sulod, ato ang formula nga pH plus pOH equals 14. Mauna siya, diha mo sulod ang second formula. So, we will just have to substitute. So, pH plus 4.795880017 is equal to 14. So, sunod na to buhaton. Kung say rule sa mathematics ani, if the mathematical operation involved is either addition or subtraction, you do transposition. Okay? Ibalhin. Tama. So, sa Bisaya pa, ibalhin. Sa English, we do transposition. We transpose this one. So, this will become pH is equal to 14. And then, diba, sa mathematics, this is very basic. If you transpose this, this will become negative. Ha? So, do not forget, mahimo siyang negative. So, 4.795880017. So, 14 minus 4.795880017 is, kung i-round off na to siya sa 2 decimal places, it's 9.20. So, you have now your pH. It's 9.20. Okay, ing-ana siya class ha, mag-compute. If ang given kay OH, tapos you are looking for the pH. This is also applicable, class, if ang given kay H+, pero ang ginapangita sa problem kay OH. Ha? Applicable po na siya. So again, pag ang gihatag sa problem kay H+, pero you are looking for the pOH, ani pod? First, you look for the pH using this given, and then using this formula, you look for the pOH. So I hope that is clear, class. Questions? Questions so far? Wala? Kaya? So para ma-memorize ninyo na inyong mga formula, kay murag daghan-daghan na siya, palihog kog summarize. I-summarize ninyo inyong formula. Itapok ninyo para dali siya ma-remember. So again, what is the importance of knowing the pH? The pH is the most important among them, ha. Paudjud na siya ang ato ang gina-measure. So na-mention na nako kagaina, one importance of knowing the pH is its application sa blood. Kasi our blood is maintained sa 7.35 to 7.45 na pH. If it becomes lower than the value, then you will have a condition called acidosis. And if it's higher than the 7.45, the condition is called alkalosis. And both of those conditions can be life-threatening. It can lead to serious illness and death can occur. So it's very important as medical technologists when you do like testings na mga sa blood, like sa CDC, gina-testing yung pH sa blood, you always remember that the normal pH of the blood is 7.35 to 7.45. So kailangan i-report yun kung the values are either lower or higher than that, so that the doctor can diagnose the condition properly and mahatag ang appropriate na medication. Okay? So if you want to know more about acidosis and alkalosis, you can read class. We have a lot of um, articles sa internet about these two. I will not just dwell on it more kasi let's concentrate first sa chemistry na side. Okay? So in agriculture also, class pH also has its application. Kasi our agriculturists are also determining the pH of our soil. Kasi the pH of the soil will determine what crop is suitable para mag-grow ana. So naay mga times class nga like nagtanom ta og certain nga plant sa ato ang yuta, and then there will be times nga dili siya motubo. So naay isa sa reason for that is the pH. So let me give you an example. If ang pH class sa soil sa isa ka lugar is acidic, then these are the examples na mga plants na suitable na patubuon. So for example, the rice, the coffee, banana, pineapple, these plants dwell or naga-thrive sila more on acidic na soil. And for basic na mga soil, examples ana, we have the grapes and the pechay. And then we have nearly neutral, dili jud siya exactly 7, pero nearly neutral. We have corn, watermelon, peanut, cabbage, garlic, and onion. So, I have a question. Na may daghang taga South Cotabato dire, no? So what do you think is the pH sa soil ninyo din ha? Based sa root crops or sa mga crops, mga plants na most likely nagatubo din ha sa inyong lugar. What do you think? Acidic, basic, or neutral? Kasi taga South Cotabato dire. Anywhere sa South Cotabato, Pulumulok, Tupi, going up. Nasa baba man kasi ang Jensan. Okay, so yes, that is correct, Cyril and Laika. Most likely, the soil there, kung asa ganit mo, asa mga lugar, is acidic. Sa Pulumulok. Kasi remember, unsa ginapatubo din ha sa Pulumulok, you have pineapple there, a lot of pineapple. Daghan po din ha banana, 'di ba? And the coffee also, 'di ba na ginapatubo din ha nga kind of coffee sa may Mount Matutong banda. So wala siya nga lami siya class ang fruit na iyahang ihatag kasi natanom siya sa suitable niya na soil. So that's one that's another application of the pH. And then sa ato ang mga ginagamit day to day na na life, like for example our shampoos, most of our shampoos ang pH ana is between 4 to 6. And what do you call that? Ang ato ang mata class is ang pH ana is the same with our blood. It's 7.35 to 7.45. Again, 7.35 to 7.45 na siya ang ato ang mata. So pag mag-shampoo ta, tapos mabutang siya sa ato ang mata, di ba? It's painful. It's painful kasi hindi sila parehas ng pH. So muna sa mga babies, kung magtanaw mo sa mga shampoo sa babies, na nakabutang no more tears formula or no more tear formula ng mga shampoo sa baby. Sige himuan na ang ilahang shampoo class kay giparehas siya og pH sa ilahang eyes. So it's between 7.35 to 7.45. Kung pagligo na to ang baby, bisan pa og ang ilahang shampoo mabutang sa ilahang mata, it is not painful for them. That's because of the pH. Okay? So that is also true para sa atong mga tambal na gina-inject ha, na kanang intravenous na injection. So para dili pud na siya painful, ang pH ana gina-pattern pud sa blood ha, para dili siya painful, and then wala siya mga adverse effects after. Okay? And then we have foods class na the pH is controlled para makontrol pud ang shelf life. So pag mayroon kag shelf life, it's the period wherein maka-ensure ka na stable imuhang product. Mo na siya ang use sa expiration date. The expiration date determines the shelf life of your product. So para magtanaw jud mo sa inyong mga ginapalit ha ng mga anything, food, tambal, or unsa pa ng mga naay mga expiration date kay kanang expiration date niya within that period mao lang na ang makasure mo nga stable ang inyong product. So for example, we have beer, wine, vinegar, and cheese. Kani sila ng mga products when they are manufactured, the pH is controlled. Kapag mubago na ang pH ani ng mga product, it means dili na stable and most likely dili na siya dapat i-consume. Okay, naalala na lang noon ako ang kagahapon ni adto kong SM, palit kog tinapay. Palit ako sa tinapay na sila'y kanang free nga isa ka box na Tetra Pak na juice. So gidawat lang po nako. I was not actually thinking about the expiration date. Gidawat lang po nako kay syempre libre good. Pagawat mo ko diri sa balay na ano ko like na nakaisip ko ng ano kanin nila gilibre no isa. I mean isa ka tinapay tapos isa ka box. So when I opened it, I look at the expiration date. So nindot kayo ang SM mo hatag og free. Kay ang expiration sa product is February 10, 2021. Sa kabulan na sobra na expire lang gihatag. Kalagot kayo sa to. Dapat sila na mo dispose gihatag pa jud para sa like ako mo dispose ani nagdugang-dugang siya basura diri sa amuang balay. So lamig kay sila ko si nang hatag na lang kanang expire pag yun. So most likely ang mga pH ani nagbago na dili na siya dapat i-consume. Okay? Questions class so far? Wala. Wala. So sa laboratory class natay ginatawag og indicators. Again sa laboratory na side we have the so-called indicators. These are actually ang mga indicators nato mga chemicals ni sila. And from the name indicators, they will indicate whether our substance or solution is acidic, basic, or neutral. Kasi the pH of the solution can either be determined calorimetrically or electrometrically. Sa electrometrically, mao nitong ginagamitan nato og pH tester. Electrodes man ang gamit ato. Pero pag calorimetric gani ang atong ginaistoryahan, we will determine the pH through the use of indicators. So man na siyang ginatawag og calorimetric method in determining the pH of our substance. So to be exact, we call it acid-base indicators. They are organic compounds, highly colored organic compounds na sila'y color class. And kanang ilahang color, nagabago na siya, naga-change na siya if there is also a change in the hydronium ion concentration. Meaning, para i-simplify, kapag ka mo change ang pH sa substance, ang indicator class mo change pod ang iyahang color. Okay? Ano siya ang gamit ni indicator. So let me give you a list of the indicators we have in the laboratory na pwede nato gamiton for calorimetric method. So for example, we have here the phenolphthalein. That's the name of the chemical, phenolphthalein. Si phenolphthalein plus, if naa siya sa acidic na solution, colorless siya. So for example, gihalo nimo si phenolphthalein kay hydrochloric acid, wala siya color. Pero pag si phenolphthalein ibutang nimo siya sa basic nga substance, ang color niya red or pink. Pwede siya pink, pwede siya red. So mo assume siya og lahi nga color, mo change siya og color. For example, si phenolphthalein ibutang nato siya sa sodium hydroxide. And then you know that sodium hydroxide is a basic substance, right? So from colorless class, mahimo na siya either pink or red. So that is also true for other indicators na sila'y lahi-lahi nga colors kung asa sila ibutang sa acidic man or sa basic na environment. Okay? So you have to be familiar with the indicator. Sa dili na nako na siya isa-isahon. Actually, dali lang na siya studyhan. Except for phenolphthalein and thymolphthalein, ang uban class na anay mga color sa ilahang pangalan. Cresol red, methyl red, bromocresol green, and the malachite green. So kung unsa na ang color sa ilahang pangalan, mao na siya ang isa ka color nila, whether it is acidic or basic. So parehas ng cresol red. So kung ibutang nimo siya sa acidic na medium, it's color red. And automatically, ang partner ana niya yellow. So exceptions lang may phenolphthalein ug thymolphthalein kay colorless na sila. And then red and blue. Ang uban, cresol red, red siya sa acid, automatic yellow na siya sa base. Ang methyl red po na siya sa acid, automatic yellow iyahang partner. So ang nagbaliktad din si bromocresol blue kay ang blue niya is on the basic niya nga color, pero it's the same thing, yellow gihapon iyahang partner. Okay? Wala di ko nagbutang og color din hino, pero let me show you an example. Wait lang. Actually, ang application ani niya kaysa titration. Wala tayo ko naghatag o color. Siyang isingit sa akong slide ha. Wait. So dili ta mag-end kay tomorrow mag-continue ta, but we'll have the buffer solution tomorrow. Computation gihapon na. Medyo wait. So this one is an example of our indicator na ginahimo sa lab. Like for example, wala tay pH tester class, wala tay other means of knowing whether our solution is acidic, basic, or neutral, then we will use indicators like phenolphthalein. So parehas ani, si phenolphthalein, gi-add siya sa acidic na solution. Take note, it's colorless. For example, this is vinegar. Diba remember vinegar is made up of acetic acid. So most likely it's acidic. Walay color si phenolphthalein. But if you add phenolphthalein in an alkali or basic alkali or basic na solution, mag-change ang iyahang color, mahimo siya og pink. So muna siya karon ang gamit sa atoang indicators. Questions, class?